All of these people, we know them really well. They're here to help your business. The new people, they've been vetted. A lot of people in this room do business with them. A lot of people who are not in this room do business with them, and they're all really, really good people to have around. Okay. So who's up for the quick pitch? You guys quick pitch people, if you can come to the left side of the room, your left. And line up. That's it? Okay, we got more. They got nothing.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Al Davis. I don't get around to these meetings much, but I want to take the opportunity while I'm here to let everyone know what I do. I've been in real estate 16 years. I started doing wholesale altogether as far as rentals, leasing, acquisition, rehabs, reselling, and wholesaling. I'm probably over 600 properties, but I get a lot of properties straight from the bank before they get released to the real estate agents, and I wholesale them out to investors. So you get good deals like that. Just let me know what you want to get the property for, and I'll try to get it for you for that price from the bank. We also do turnkeys where I'm selling off some of my properties. I put my programs in, subsidized programs in. They live free, totally renovated. They get in $1,400 to $1,800 a month, and I'm selling them between $85 and $95, maintenance free. We do tenant placement. Jameer right here works with our tenant placement. So if you have properties you can't find a tenant, we got 13 subsidized programs that guarantee you rent every month. We can put them in your house. We do rehabs, although we only rehab our own houses. But if anybody has any questions, I handed out like a little spreadsheet if anybody got that, and a color brochure of some of the turnkey properties that we have. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to talk to me or Jameer, who's sitting right here on the corner. And I know y'all gonna enjoy Fred this evening. He came up with me.
Phone number.
My name is Al Davis. My contact number is 410-235-1200. Thank you.
My name's Dave Blondell. I'm a roofing contractor and a real estate investor. Realtors, I do roof certs, $175. And for your wholesalers out there, I'm looking and always buying Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County. Phone number is 443-207-9974. 443-207-9974, and I do have cards in the back.
Joe?
Hey everybody, thanks to all the new people again for coming tonight. Please come back. My name's Joe Child. My company is Presco Management, funding, lending. Phone number is 443-336-7000, and the website is prescomanagement.com. It's July, it's Shark Week. You know that feeling when you go to the beach? There's sharks in the water. I don't want to go in there. It's kind of like being a new investor, dipping your toe in that shark-infested water. Well, Presco Management will help you with that. If you're new and you just want somebody to hold your hand, you know, you can't stop the waves, but I can teach you how to surf, and we'll get out there and we'll just navigate those shark-filled waters, try and get you the best deal, or at least let you know what you're doing. So please call me, Presco Management, Joe Child. What was the question? Oh, what do you want?
It's all a negotiation. I want to see you, Joe, on a surfboard, man.
You may not negotiate in front of the group.
You do, it'll cost you 4 points.
How you guys doing? My name is Terry Royce. I'm an investor here in the Baltimore area. We've been buying and selling houses since 2008. We wholesale a ton of properties, and we have a lot of stuff to sell. If you want stuff in the county, the city, let me know. Mike Casey's sitting right there in the middle. You can ask him. He's bought a bunch of our houses. They're all fantastic deals. Sanjeev is in the back. He just bought one of our deals. He said he's going to make 50 or 60 grand off of it. He's hiding. He's a buyer, so you guys need to talk to him. If you guys want to get our list of properties, can get on our text list immediately by texting the word investor to the number 24587. Again, that's the word investor to 24587. 8587. We just got a property in Hartford County. We have one in Hamden we picked up today, one of the top 10 hottest neighborhoods in the country. Again, if you guys are looking for deals, flyers are on the back, thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Terry didn't mention that he's also a member of our advisory board. We're grateful for that. Thanks, Terry. Oops.
Hey, hi, I'm Bill Ames. As I mentioned, I'm a rehabber, but right now we're looking for more deals. We have a lot of cash sitting, and we're ready to buy. We can settle in under 10 days. There's a flyer on the back table that explains exactly what I'm looking for, and then the green and white cards on the back table also is my contact information. If you are a wholesaler, you're thinking about selling deals, we're going to have a deal under contract soon, call me, 410-207-1151. Even if you're thinking you might have a deal soon, just call me, we can talk about it. We can close in a flash, under 10 days. Thanks.
Thanks for helping put the group together, Bill.
Yeah, Bill didn't say that either. His low profile. Bill Ames was the founder of the DWI meetup, so for those of you who are new, I'm grateful to Bill. He's also serving on our advisory board, so thank you.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Marcus. I work along with Brad Monroe in the Legacy Group. We currently have 2 deals in 21206, Baltimore City. So if you're interested, my number is 443-528-8294. It's 443-528-8294. Thank you.
Slower on the number, please.
Sorry. 443-528-8294. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so tonight we've got a big night. We've got a couple things that we're going to be doing. Obviously, Fred Lewis from the Dominion Group, who's going to give you guys some really incredible information on the local market, where it's been, where it's going, when it might crash, or when it might not. And then after Fred's done, Rock Richardson, Amy, and myself, we're gonna do a presentation on a new wholesaling class that's starting, that we're gonna start at the end of this month. So when Fred's done, it's not over, so please stay around and check out what we have, because we think you're really gonna like everything that's going on tonight. Is there anything I may have forgotten or glossed over?
Well, they don't like to keep a low profile. Dominion Group are proud corporate advisory board members. We're grateful to them. Also, for you, those of you who weren't here, who are new, they have Dominion School as well as Lending Arm, Dominion Financial. They're really great folks. We're really pleased to have them on the board, and I'm eager to hear what Fred has to say.
Okay, everybody, welcome Fred Lewis.
Thank you. Okay. I want to thank Andy and Amy for inviting us tonight. It's great to see a lot of exciting real estate people in the room. It's a great business, and we love the real estate business. But to start, I figured I'd actually kind of poll the room. The real estate party, is it over or is it just beginning? So I'm going to actually poll the room. Who thinks that the real estate party is over? Anybody? You probably wouldn't be here, right? One guy says the party's over. He wants to see the train wreck. That's why he's here. And who thinks it's just beginning? A lot of people. And everybody else in the middle, right? So it's really conjecture. Is it over as a beginning? It depends. It depends on who you are, what your experiences are, where you're entering the market. Are you wholesaling? Are you retailing? Are you buying and holding? What is your goals in the marketplace? But it's important to understand the marketplace. Whoop. Wrong button. See, I know real estate, not technology. All right, there you go. So we had the fortunate and unfortunate pleasure of experiencing the market downturn in 2007 and 8. We'll get into a little bit of my history. But I started the business in 2002, and everything was hunky-dory, was wonderful. You know, no one was losing anything until 2007 when the world fell apart. And what was interesting is, you know, there's a lot of takeaways from what happened in the real estate market. So if you have to think to yourself today, if you knew today what you didn't know before the last downturn, what would you do differently? Would you do anything differently? Would you prepare differently? Would you think about the opportunities differently? Because it's not always about making money, it's about keeping the money you have and about protecting the opportunities you have. So if you don't hear anything else I have to say, or anybody else, what they have to say, there's an exercise you should consider doing. You should go home in a quiet, you know, go to your little office at your house and quietly write down in an exercise, if the world fell apart in 2017, just like it did in 2007 and 8, what would I actually do to protect my assets? What would I do to make a living? If you're in the real estate business, I assume. What would you do to perceive where the opportunities may be? So it's an exercise that you really have to do. You know, I'll tell you a little very quick story. In 2007, I went to a conference, and the conference was about macroeconomics, and my eyes were glossing over, and you know, these gurus from New York came down and they were talking about what's going on in the economy. And this young guy in jeans and frazzled hair came up, and everyone by then just wanted to have lunch. And the guy came up and said, the world's going to explode. And everyone's like, what? We're all making so much money, things are great. What are you talking about? Get this guy off the stage, we're hungry. And the guy said, no, you don't understand. There's a product called CDOs, there's mortgages that are being packaged, it's a bunch of dog crap. And he had a big slide, and it was like a big stinking piece of crap that smelled really bad, and he actually wrote it on the screen. And everyone was laughing him off the stage. And I remember that meeting, and I walked off out of that meeting, and I was hyperventilating. And I walked to the balcony, I called my sister, who's a CFO of a real estate company in New York. She manages like $1 billion worth of real estate, my younger sister, the smart one. I said, Linda, I think the world's going to fall apart. What I didn't understand in 2007, when I listened to this guy talk, is what to do about it. I didn't know what to do about it. I couldn't understand how that would translate into single-family real estate in Baltimore, Maryland. You know, what does that all mean? And we took some steps to protect ourselves, fortunately, because I probably wouldn't be standing here. But a lot of people did not. You know, one thing that people don't talk about when they're gurus and want to sell you stuff is they don't tell you about the downside. They don't tell you actually what really happens in real estate. And I can tell you, we're in the, I'll tell you quickly, yeah, I think I'm losing some. Give you some background. We have 4 businesses, I'll just say. We're private lenders. We've been in the private lending business since 2002. It's a very active business for us. We are real estate people. We own today 565 rental properties in Baltimore and Baltimore area. We are a property manager. We manage our own real estate. We also manage the turnkeys we've sold to our investors. So we manage about 700 plus houses in Baltimore. And we have the Dominion School, which Craig runs. And it's very exciting because we are drafting off of our experiences and not off of just education in a book. So those are our 4 distinctive businesses at Dominion. But there's a lot of people in those businesses, whether it's property management, whether it was lending, it didn't matter what it was, that actually failed and fell apart in 2007 and 8. And what people won't tell you is how many people lost everything. Private lenders, probably 90% around the country in 2007 lost a lot of money, and a lot of them just went out of business and went belly up. A lot of people lost their real estate, as I'm sure, Al, you know a lot of people back, we've known each other a long time. We've seen a lot of things happen. And I think no matter what you do, you should go home and work on the exercise of what actually did happen in 2007. Even though that's not necessarily what's going to happen now, the dynamics are different. I'm not drawing a direct comparison to say that's going to happen. But what I am saying is the markets are dynamic. And downside is always part of real estate. And you can make money on the downside as you can make money on the upside. And think about how you're going to position yourself. All right. Oh, okay, comes up one at a time. In 2001, now I'll tell you my quick history. This is not about me. This presentation is about you guys and about some takeaways you can walk home with. So if you have any questions along the way, don't be shy. Anyone but Al can raise their hand and actually ask me any questions, all right? At any point during the presentation. But in 2001, I had just gotten out of, I was in an apparel business. I sold my company, got into the real estate business. I had never bought a house until I was 35 years old. Not one house. So real estate was actually new to me. Matter of fact, I was scared about buying houses, so I decided to be a private lender because I figured I'll lend to people who knew more than I did, which most people did at that time. In 2002, I made my first loan. And in 2003, I started buying houses. I figured that if the people I was lending to knew so much and they were getting such great deals, well, I'm the cash buyer because I actually have cash, so I'll go buy houses. So I'll tell you a very quick story. I went out on the street. I was in Park Heights with my ADC map in 2003 because I didn't have GPS. I had an old Jeep Cherokee. And I'm with my map out in the car, and I'm absolutely lost on a one-way street in Park Heights, going the wrong way, and a cop follows me in. And he says to me, "Buddy, what the hell are you doing here?" I'm like, "I have no idea. I'm frightened." He's like, "Go the other direction, put your map down, go home." I went home that night, and I almost never came back to Baltimore. But that's a true story. I actually almost never came back to Baltimore. I said to my wife, "What the hell am I doing here?" And it really was a matter of digging deep and understanding what do you want out of real estate, what interests you, what drives you personally, and that's another exercise you need to do, is what attributes do you have, what skills do you personally have that are leverageable? And you'll learn a little bit more about what you want to do and the kind of research you need to do. In 2004-06, the Dominion Group really kind of grew. That was a golden age in the real estate business because the markets were very expansive. We probably hit 150 houses around that time. Lending company was growing. In 2007, I brought in Jack Revere, who's my partner. He was an intern from University of Pennsylvania, really smart kid. I learned that to hire people smarter than me is a good thing. So I hired Jack. He became a partner a few years later, and he actually runs our lending company now and is an integral part of what we do. 2008, the real estate market implodes, and by then I think we were doing about 10 million, 11 million in loans at the time. We had probably a 20 to 30% default rate, all at one time in 2008. And the kaboom is probably too nice for what was going on in the business. We had to learn very fast. You know, everything's theoretical in real estate until it becomes real. And when it becomes real, then you have to live it. And we had to live through bad loans. We had to live through relationships where people said, "Hey, I'm underwater. Here's the keys to the house, but let me help you." We had people that wouldn't answer the phone, and we had to go foreclose and track them down and the whole bit. Hire investigators. We had people that they were underwater and they kept paying. They did everything they could, and some of those relationships we still have today. But there's a stress test, what occurred in 2008 for us. And between 2008 and before we hit, really things were on fire after 2009, was survival mode for us. And survival mode was tough. And that's where everybody else was going out of business. So that's what I really, my biggest advice to everybody is think about everything you do goes down by 10 to 25%. What does that mean to your business? In the 2013 period, Baltimore real estate got in an expansion period of pricing in 2009 and 10. Baltimore pricing got very expensive. And there's a fallacy in real estate where if you see everyone else buying, you think you should be buying. Not necessarily. It just means there could be a lot of dumb money chasing deals. And we felt that was the case in 2009 or 10 in Baltimore. And we searched other markets. We went to Atlanta. We bought about 600 houses in Atlanta between a 3-year period. Atlanta was an amazing disjointed market, kind of the markets we like. But we did our research, and we'll talk about research and knowledge and the importance of that. And in 2014, we partnered with a hedge fund in New York to expand our lending company. We went from we got to about $24 million in our lending company in 2014. And in last year, we sold out of Atlanta. We sold the remaining 250, 300 houses that we owned, closed our Atlanta division. We felt that the market was fully priced and valued, so it was a good exit point for us. We did $45 million in private loans in 26 states. Right now we're actually in 35 states, and we're planning larger numbers than that. And then today, we've opened up the Dominion School. Now, a lot of people ask us, why would we have interest in a Dominion School? I'll tell you very quickly, it's something I've avoided from the very beginning. I'm not a guru who likes to teach anybody anything. I kept my head down to focus on the business. But I've seen a lot of people sell education that's worthless. Things that have general concepts from people who literally have no experience or went out of business in 2008 and then trying to teach you something that they don't know. We're giving people the opportunity to learn from our experience, which is something I think is a great thing. Experience and knowledge, that's where it's at. So back to the first slide is what's relevant for you. Back to the question, it depends. It only depends based on the knowledge you have. Question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you mentioned earlier that you have to ask like what kind of skills you have or what maybe intangible skills. Do you want to like maybe give like an example of that, like what you did to kind of start?
If you're a shy person and you're an introvert, loves numbers and loves analysis, you probably aren't going to be a wholesaler. You're probably not going to put people and product together very well if you like to basically close the door and do analysis. You may be a property manager. You may be someone who's buying and holding and understanding their numbers. So you may be an operator. It depends on who you are and what your good skills are. And it's not the same as the person sitting next to you. So you got to be aware of what other people are telling you to do. That's really more my point. So knowledge and how you gain knowledge is really the critical thing. For me personally, when the market was falling apart, I sought out the industry in general. There's a conference, IMN is actually an information management network, is a company that has conferences around the country. They have a single-family real estate conference twice a year in Arizona and usually in Miami. It's a fantastic conference where national players come together, bankers and lenders and large institutional players, economists speak, and you really get a deep dive into the economics of real estate around the country. I felt that I needed that. I needed to learn deep down what was brewing, what was going on. I had to get into the trenches. There's another group called Collective Genius, which is a mastermind group. It's about 100 guys around the country like myself. We actually, from all markets, all over the country, we actually meet 4 times a year in groups of 40 for 3 days just to talk about practice and operations and how do we do it and who's wholesaling and who's selling and who's holding. And then there's a concept called R&R. Does anyone know what R&R is? You want to take a guess? It's my favorite concept. Relaxation. I don't do a lot of that. I'm in real estate. R&R means, R&R to us is rip off and redesign. And why that's important, because for the people that think that they have to create a unique thing on their own should be an artist. If you want to be a painter, you want to be a photographer, you can do it on your own. But if you want to be in real estate, you have to look at the people who are experts at the things that they're really great at doing. You have to rip it off in a friendly way. Maybe not. Depends on when you get the information. But you have to take that information and you have to redesign it for what fits into your business. And the R&R concept is something that we preach. We have 50 employees at Dominion, and we preach in every single facet of what they do is don't be so unique. Learn from everything that someone else has done, at least well, and let's redesign it for us. Very, very critical point. So just a real quick overlay on, I guess, again, from the knowledge side. At the IMN, what was brewing over the last 4 or 5 years and was a big part of the conference was the institutional buyers that were coming into single family. As I'm sure everyone here knows, that single family real estate has been a mom and pop business for many, many decades, and it will be for many decades to come. But there was a period where the institutional buyers, the large hedge funds and REITs said, wait a minute, we're in multifamily, we're in warehousing, we're in land. What about that single family rental thing? And what happened is after the huge downturn, there was a lot of people with a lot of money that said, we need to get in. There's been over 150,000 houses bought just by institutional buyers in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Some of the names, just for information purposes, Imitation Homes, which is a division of Blackstone, themselves bought over 47,000 units. They competed with us ultimately in Atlanta. They competed with a lot of people in markets all around the country. We'll talk about them later too. American Homes for Rent just went public. Colony Starwood Homes. And a lot of these companies are REITs. A lot of them are now public. Some aren't doing so well, by the way. And I hope someone actually asked me the question of, well, why aren't they doing well?
Why aren't they doing well?
Okay, I was going to say that for later.
Save it for later.
All right, I'm going to save that for later. All right, so you pay attention. Again, just a national thing, mortgage rates and Fed fund rates. You know, the access to capital, the cost of capital, and where capital may be going is a huge driver in real estate. And you need to be cognizant of where that's going, where community banks are lending at, where they're borrowing their money at, and where rates may go. Because when you buy real estate, unless you're a wholesaler or you're moving through real estate as a trader, because in real estate you have trading. I'm a buyer seller, you're a trader. You're not really a real estate owner, you're just a trader. And that's fine, you can make a lot of money trading. But if you're going to be a real estate owner and hold something for a long period of time, then you're an investor. Investors and traders are two different people. We do some of this, we do both, but we love being investors. We trade because we like to make some money from time to time, but we love being investors. And as investors, you're going to own your real estate for a long period of time. So it doesn't really matter what the guru says. It matters what your real estate's going to look like in 20 years because you're going to own it for a long time. Hopefully your kids are going to own it and the whole bit. So you got to understand at what point is your entry and where the markets are. I'll just get through this real quick, but there are phases of real estate in general. And this is kind of fascinating because a lot of people think about this in a very boxy way where you have, after a recession, which is phase 4, starts again a recovery. Now, we had a very interesting recovery in a lot of ways in the last several years, and I'm sure everyone would have different things to say about the recovery. And after recovery, you tend to get into an expansion period. Real estate prices go up, there's high demand, everyone's happy, everyone's talking about how much money they're making, until it gets into a hyper supply period of increasing vacancy, new construction, a lot of people just exaggerating, which then leads again back to recession. So these are the typical 4 phases that real estate operates through. And back to the basic knowledge of where you are, you have to understand where the kind of the macroeconomics of real estate sits because you want to understand where you are. So in the very first slide, is it the beginning, is it the end? Well, again, it depends for you and it depends on how you understand the real estate market. We personally think we're in between. The recovery has occurred. We've been in expansion for a number of years now. And expansion has led to a unique period of turbulence. We're in a turbulent expansion period that's unlike anyone we've seen in a long time, anything that I've seen in my lifetime. Prices have recovered. Inventory is getting tougher to get. Good inventory is getting tougher. Sure. Quick survey. How do people in the room feel about where the market is today? You feel like things are great? You feel like inventory is tough? You think the inventory is plentiful?
One at a time. Where's inventory?
Okay. Where's inventory, Al?
It's pretty good inventory right now.
In Baltimore? in the Baltimore region?
Well, I bought a couple houses in DC, so, and in Upper Marlboro, so I'm not having trouble finding good deals.
Okay. Anybody else having a hard time finding inventory? Yes or no? Good or bad? In the back?
Yes,
Yes, you are having a hard time, or yes, you're having an easy time?
we're having a hard time.
Hard time. Maybe you need to connect with Al.
All right.
Anybody else?
The deals get done.
Is bad. It's interesting because PG County was hot 2 years ago. It was on fire. Yeah, so now it's down. Been overpicked. Yeah.
In general, there's opportunity and inventory out there, just the prices have gone up, made it a lot more competitive for people who know the market to buy those houses at the right prices.
It's a great point. So it's gotten more competitive. Inventory's there. You have to know more, right? Isn't that really the point? You have to be more knowledgeable because the fluff is gone. Does anyone think the fluff is gone, or they think this is a bunch of fluff? Okay. All right. So this is just, if you want to look at this later, this is just a historical chart on the market from inception of real estate, and a historical matrix on downturns and upturns, and when the next predicted down cycle is, which is 2024, which I don't hold a lot into this. This is a lot of gurus saying this is what's going to happen. I just don't think we're in a typical cycle right now for a lot of reasons. This is probably my favorite chart, period, because it really shows real estate. Yeah, it's got my name on it. That helps too. But since the 1950s, kind of the growth in real estate equity across the country as an average. And real estate equity has grown over a long period of time. And you saw in the expansion in the 80s how real estate equity has grown and been basically tracked. And then after 2000, call it 2004, 2005, and 6, you can see what happened. So you can see what I call an irrational spike in equity. So it's irrational because it's unnatural, actually, what we're calling it. And why is it unnatural? It's unnatural because it was manipulated. And when real estate's manipulated, then the rules change. And you have to then become a student of why is it being manipulated? Where do I fit in, and do I fit in? Because if you're going up against the big guys, depending on what you do in the real estate, you can get hammered. And that's what a lot of people did. They got hammered in this unnatural increase in value, because if you are a speculator, for example, and you're speculating in 2005, well, you're making a ton of money because in 2006, someone bought something for a lot more than you paid in 2005. So what happens when you make money in real estate? I'll tell you the first thought people have. They think they're smart. Smart, man, I am so damn smart. I just made money on that deal. I bought it for X, sold it for Y, I wholesaled it. I'm a smart dude. That's what people think. You're not, smart has nothing to do with it. Maybe ballsy has something to do with it. Maybe educated, maybe this is something that you're at the right place at the right time and you're working hard, or work ethic has something to do with it. But being smarter than everybody else has nothing to do with it. Now what happens is when you think you're smart, bad things happen. Because when you think you're really smart and you allow yourself to think that, you get preyed on, because eventually you buy too high and then you're stuck. You can't sell the inventory that you have. You have real estate that you own on a rental basis. You pay too much. It doesn't cash flow. You overexpand it too fast. You run out of cash. Lots of bad things can happen. So what happens when you have manipulation in markets that are unnatural, and then things fall apart? You have exaggeration in the markets on the downside as well. So what we saw in 2007, 8, 9 is you saw a tremendous drop in value. So if you look at the bottom actually officially, the actual official bottom was around 2007, 8, and then it dropped again in 2010, 11. In a lot of markets, 2011 was the actual bottom. But I had an interesting conversation around a little bit above the bottom. I was in a meeting with a principal of Blackstone, which is the largest hedge fund in the country, and I'm sitting with this guy, Dave Blitzer, who's a cool guy, and we were talking about the real estate markets, and he was telling me about Blackstone's interest in getting into the single-family real estate market, and they wanted to understand, from me, my thoughts on the business. So here I am, meeting with a bigwig, telling him all the different parts of single-family real estate, why it's so cool, and the whole bit, and then he looks at me and says, I'm not listening to a damn thing you're talking about. I'm like, why? I'm a single-family real estate guy. I know what I'm talking about. He's like, no, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that it's cheap. And that there's a value on real estate that got disjointed. Prices were well below the mean value of what they're truly intrinsically worth. And the hedge fund thought is, I don't need to know how to operate it. I'll figure that out later. I'll hire guys like you. I'm like, no, I don't want to be hired by you. And they offered. I'm like, no, not interested. But we can just acquire the hell out of it because it's cheap. So they figured if it's below the mean being what it's intrinsically worth, then we can acquire the hell out of it. And the entire institutional world took that mantra. And so when you saw all these companies buying the real estate and they start acting like they're operators, they're just lying. They weren't operators. They even said, we're really not operators. But if we buy it really cheap, we can figure it out later. So in 2011, 12, mostly in 12, 13, prices started to rise in a lot of markets. And they started to rise irrationally fast because the institutional players start competing against each other on the speed as to which to buy the inventory, acquire the inventory. And in a lot of markets, unlike Baltimore, where the institutional guys really have not come in because Baltimore's hard to figure out, in a lot of other markets they came in and they acquired a tremendous amount of inventory like we're talking about. And now they're in a completely different phase of where they need to be. This is a logarithmic view of the same information. This is the natural growth of equity in real estate over a long period of time. So it's a little bit more steady because equity actually grows on itself as you retain more equity and you invest it. So this is the logarithmic view, but it shows a natural progression of real estate values, irrational increase, the irrational drop, and kind of where we are today.
Is that adjusted in dollars over time?
Yeah, this is, yeah. So what's interesting is that we have recovered. Values actually, if you look at a straight line, and you look at the top of where we are today, and you look at where the recovery line is today, we're actually at full value. So what happens at full value? Institutional players have said, well, I now need to know what I'm doing. So they stop buying because they actually have to know what the hell to do with the real estate. You have to think about that because the days, you got to keep in mind that investment returns and performance is not, in the past, is not necessarily indicative of the future. So you can't, you have a question?
Yeah, is there,
yeah.
Can I interrupt your midstream?
Sure.
Is there any correlation between that and the sheer number of houses that have been built over time? You know,
Well,
that puts more dollars into the market.
You know, yeah, this is just equity, and building's really relative to a lot of other macro issues, job growth and density and other things. So the key point here, though, is that when you're on the bottom of the market and you see a lot of people buying and making money, you have to realize that, and there's a term that I like to use a lot in business, and that's you're on the clock. And there's a time when you're on the clock because you understand via knowledge and experience where you sit and where your skills are and how to apply them. And if you're in the right fold at the right time, you're on the clock. But you have to also know when to stop. So we believe, based on the information we've talked about already, that we're now at more of a full value around the country. And now it's more about, now what? You know, we're in this point of turbulence now, where things are a little bit tough. You know, inventory's tighter, as people alluded. You have to pick it over a little bit more. You have to be more knowledgeable. You could get hurt if you buy wrong. You may not be in the right end of the real estate business. So really, what's next? We're in the age of operations. The way that the institutional folks and the people that sit behind desks and suits in New York think about this, they view this in 3 phases, very, very succinctly. They love the fact that the world fell apart in 2007 and 2008 because it was all about capital. They had access to cheap, manipulated capital, and it was the age of acquisitions through cheap capital. And that's what really occurred in the market that then moved to an age of consolidation. For the last couple years, we've seen nothing but consolidation. Because as we've come back to full value, the people that have bigger systems and different ways to operate have consolidated. And today, it's about operations. And I challenge everybody that whether you're a wholesaler, whether you're a buy and hold, whether you're in any part of the marketplace, you have to think about how do I operate it and do I create value? Because today, it's all about value. And until there's some crazy downturn that hopefully, like I did in 2007, even though it was in front of me, you can understand it, protect your business, and plan for it. You can make money on the downside. You have to think about, well, then what value do you provide today? And you know, it's interesting. We have people who come to us and say, I want to buy a house. I don't want to borrow money from your lending company. And they say, well, and our people say, well, that's great. What experience do you have? No, I got a general contractor. Well, is someone you've hired? No, gurus told me that I could hire a bunch of general contractors, so I'm going to hire a general contractor. Are you a finance guy? No, I don't have any money. I want to borrow the money from you. Have you renovated a house? No, I don't do that. Are you a landlord? No, I don't own any houses. So there's no value. Just because someone says you should get into real estate doesn't mean you should get into real estate unless there's something you believe that you can bring to the equation that allows you to compete. So to that point, I'm going to ask a question. Who in this room thinks they've achieved success in what they do outside of real estate? Sir, what do you do?
I'm a contractor.
You're a contractor. Real estate contractor.
Real estate investor for investors. Big investors.
Okay, you're a general contractor. All right, anybody else? Guy in the back.
Management, IT, and commercial real estate.
Management, IT. Awesome. One more guy. One more person.
I'm the trash man.
And a trash man. All right. One more person. Anybody? Is achieve success in what they do outside of real estate? Teacher. Awesome. All right. So let me ask you a question. You teach. Where do you teach at? Okay. I decided today I want to be a teacher. I want to compete with you for your job. I think I need about 2 weeks to learn to be a teacher. About right? 2 weeks? 3 maybe at max? About right? Am I going to be as good as you? Can I teach as well as you in 2 or 3 weeks? Can I be a trash man in 2 weeks? Maybe I can. I don't know. I'm not as big as you though, so probably not. And I am a general contractor today, but it's taken me 10 years to learn how to do that. My point though is that there's a fallacy that you can learn to be a real estate investor in 2 to 3 weeks. That doesn't work that way. The gurus who want to sell you something, though, want to make you think that way because they want to sell you something. So beware of anyone selling you anything that makes you think that you're smart and that you can be a premier real estate investor in 2 to 3 weeks. It doesn't work that way. Just like I can't be a teacher in 2 to 3 weeks. All right, so the last, I guess, important slide for my side here is build the factory. So we realized early on after the decline that our focus had to be on building a Dominion factory. And it's the operation of our real estate business, whether it's private lending, whether it's owning the properties. We work every day extremely hard at managing every single one of our 565 rental properties in Baltimore. Every single one's business. There's economics. There's cash flow. So there's important pieces of your business. If you're an acquisition guy and you want to build an acquisition side of your business, whether you're a wholesaler or someone buying from a wholesaler, One of the things you need to know, for example, in operations is, well, where should I buy real estate? We believe today, given the full value of real estate, that there's a line. There's a line to draw. Because in markets like today, people do not want to live in the worst parts of Baltimore. The worst parts of Baltimore are not doing well. It's hard to retain tenants. A wholesale deal may look great to you, but if it's about holding that house for 20 years, you may not make any money. So there's a line. When we acquire, we make sure, we don't care what the price is at all. Real estate, by the way, is, I know this is going to be a hard concept, there's real estate in Baltimore that's worth a negative number. So someone may be selling something for 10 grand, it may be worth negative 30. Now, we've actually offered some banks negative 20, negative 15. They couldn't understand why they should pay us. But we've literally have offered some banks to have them pay us. I've had conversations with the director of housing on some projects they want us to take on where they've actually offered to pay us because they have to pay us. The real estate's worth negative numbers. So you got to be aware of certain parts of Baltimore because they're worth negative. And if you don't have experience and you don't add any value, stay away from things you don't understand. We focus on real estate that we believe has long-term sustainable value, that has a high likelihood of not depreciating. So when people tell you all the new projects going on in Baltimore, the hell with that. It's all about stability, cash flow, long-term tenancy, retaining tenants, managing cash flow. It's about all those factors. But understanding your acquisitions and drawing the line, understanding how to manage cash flow, because you could grow yourself out of business by running out of cash. It happens in all real estate cycles. Understanding project management and property management, project management is construction management, hiring general contractors correctly, making sure you have the right agreements, making sure you don't get screwed, making sure you understand, even if you hire a general contractor, how a house gets renovated. Anyone who buys a house that hires a general contractor and doesn't want to know the intricacies of how to renovate a house should get the hell out of the real estate business. You don't deserve to be in the business. Just in the same way I don't deserve to be a teacher. It doesn't work that way. So you have to embrace it if you want to be an owner. Property management is one hard business. You know, we thought we got it down and then we get hit again. It's an ever-changing world. It's, especially if you're in Baltimore, you're dealing with Section 8, and you're dealing with the federal government, and you're dealing with different guidelines and different processes. We've worked really hard to get this, we think, 90+% right, because it's hard. So, in recap on all this, we view it as our Dominion factory. I challenge everybody here to think about your business, both on how you can create value in the marketplace, why are you important, what would make you successful, what do you need? What do you need to make yourself successful? Seek out the experts, rip off and redesign. Get something that they do really well that you think you match up with, write it down, log it down, put a date on it, come back to it in 6 months, come back to it in 12 months. See if you've gotten anywhere. Look at the metrics, look at how you've progressed. Those are really important things, and understand that in whatever you do, it's a factory today. Whether it's wholesaling, whether it's owning, whether it's selling, whether it's retailing, whatever it may be. And I will then pass it on to my man here, Craig.
All right. So thank you, Fred Lewis. I get to work with the guy every day. It's pretty cool. So, sort of in keeping with what Fred was saying, we did a 2-day rehabbers intensive a few months ago. We filled up a bus with people. On the first day, we do a classroom session where we talk about just a whole lot of concepts that we think are important in this market. We talk about where to invest, where the successful zones are in Baltimore. We literally put a map up on the wall and show you A through G, where if you're in A through B, C, D, you're good. If you're in any of the other ones, you're in some bad shape. We're going to show you that map. We're going to show you how to evaluate your farm area and how to quickly do comps. And then we're going to introduce you to what I call the rehab roadmap. This is sort of a 10-step process that you must follow from demo to staging. You get it out of order, you're in a world of hurt. Then we're going to introduce some very cool tools for the business. And then the second day, folks, we're going to hop on a bus. And Dominion at any given time has 60 to 75 houses that we're working on under construction. And so we get a chance to visit some of those properties and basically go line item by line item through estimating. And we're going to show you by the end of the day how you can tell us how much it would be to estimate a house. How many people think that would be beneficial? Raise your hand. So literally, by the end of the day, you could walk into a house that's crappy and you could say line item by line item, okay, it's going to cost this much for demo, it's going to cost this much for plumbing, it's going to cost this much for electric, all the way down to appliances. By the end of the day, you'll be able to tell us that. So this is our 2-day tour, our 2-day event. We have limited spacing, obviously, because we can only fit so many people on the bus. The cost, you're all probably wondering, is $497. So if you're interested in that, you guys can get up and go outside. There's a concierge desk. We're going to offer $100 off for people who are VIP members here. Andy and Amy are gracious enough to do that. So if you are a VIP member or you sign up to be a VIP member, you get the price of $397. It's on August 6th and 7th. That's Saturday and Sunday. Is Stephanie in here? Stephanie? There you are. Can you come up here real quick? So we just did this event a couple months ago. And again, we're not gurus. We think that this business is all about experience, not education. We think that, it's what you get at the Dominion School is come on over. What you get at the Dominion School is experience. We go through deals with you. And so part of what we do in this 2-day event is get to know you and you can get to know us. Can you just give a couple seconds? Stephanie was on our first tour. Everybody, this is Stephanie. Say hello. Anyway, Stephanie came on the very first event with us, and I think we had about, 38, 39, 40 people there. What did you think of the event? What did you get out of it?
I thought it was amazing. I was looking to learn more about comping properties and also about the estimating repair process. That was something that I find myself weak on. After the weekend, I feel completely confident in my abilities to properly comp and properly do an estimate on a repair. It was a great intimate setting. We got to learn from local investors, which is really important. I've done the big national things. It doesn't compare to learning from people in our market today. I would highly recommend it. Well worth the price of admission.
Wow, thank you very much. All right, so guys, it's no hard sell here. We think it's great value. We'd love to see all of you there. We have literally like 30 spots left, I think, something like that. If you don't get on this one, we may do it again in a few months or after the holidays. So we hope you guys sign up this evening. If you're interested, you can go right now out the door and sign up and then come on back in. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Fred Lewis.
I didn't say, does anyone have any questions? So, Amy brought that up. Does anyone have any, start at the front?
You never did mention about how those companies went out of business or were going down in business.
Company in general in real estate?
Yeah.
The
You said you were an institutional renovator, and you never went back to that.
The REIT. So, the REITs that are public that are not doing well aren't doing well because they underestimated how to operate single-family real estate. And I think that there's a real value proposition for people that want to learn to really learn how to operate, whether you're a property manager or whether you're a general contractor or you're a service provider or a trash guy, is learning your trade really well, because the big kind of the New York-ish hedge fund real estate investment firms thought it was going to be easy. They thought it was going to be like multifamily. We buy a big building, we hire some people, what's the problem? It's all easy, right? And what they learned is, holy crap, it's not so easy. I got to actually vet tenants, I got to deal with Section 8, I got to learn how to do all those things. And what's interesting about most investment firms, particularly hedge funds, is they don't really want to work hard. It's not about working.
Wall Street making a mistake.
Yeah. Wall Street doesn't really want to work. They just want to put money in play, and they saw it was a great opportunity to put money in play. So they were right about putting the money in play. They just haven't been right yet about learning how to be operators. And that was, I wanted to point that out.
And you have to be an operator in a down market, right? Or in a breaking even, rather than like.
Well, you could go out of business. That's an alternative. Yeah, of course you have to be an operator. I mean, particularly.
Not as much in an up market, is what I'm saying. Like when prices are rising or
Yes.
they're down.
Depending on where you are, in an up market, there's more of a lot of things. So it's easier to not perform with best practices or not perform at the highest points. But in a down market, you're stress tested, which is my point. Stress test your businesses and assuming that there's a down market. And if you can survive that, you'll do really well. Yeah.
What was interesting in some of the line graphs that you have is that we're right now at fully valued.
Right.
No one has a really great crystal ball, but that's sort of at the point of market absorption. You're at that pendulum of whether are we going to go do a double dump, a double drop, or are we going to continue up? Maybe not in an astronomic pattern, but more like or a log, maybe maybe not a logarithmic pattern, but
Right.
more.
So a couple points about that. So people want to know about the Baltimore region because we're all in the Baltimore region here. What's interesting about when markets are full of value, if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, like we were, we had an office down there where a lot of the real estate's homogeneous. It's rather easy to renovate. It's all about the economics of the moment. It's very different than, let's say, the Baltimore market. So it comes back to understanding and getting knowledge from people who are experts at what you want to do. So in Baltimore, where we believe we're the experts, and there's plenty of experts in the marketplace, and not. Who said that? Baltimore is interesting because you can compete on unique barriers of entry. So if you have an old row home in Federal Hill that's the roof's caving in, well, you're not going to compete with a hedge fund. They don't know what to do with that thing. And they don't want to work that hard. Most people actually don't want to work that hard. So it depends on your entry point of exactly what you're doing. In Baltimore, you can sift through inventory differently. A house, Baltimore has unique density. So you have a house on this side of the block. It's actually not the same as the house on this side of the block because this one's up on a hill and too close to Orleans Street. This one's on the other side. So you can scalp a street, you can scalp a market if you're more knowledgeable. And so it really comes down to Baltimore. I believe Baltimore has a lot of unique opportunity right now, but it's all based on knowledge and learning how to dig through it.